Start. Thank you. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, everyone. Let me jump straight into my presentation. I'll be talking about closing skill gaps with flexible micro-credential L&D program, building organizational resilience. And it just so happened the training industry magazine, the May June issue, very fresh from the oven, has the whole dedicated the whole issue on closing skill gap. I would strongly recommend you to read the whole issue because as you can see in the table of content here, the whole magazine, the whole issue is actually devoted into talking about upskilling and reskilling in the new normal. Very good articles, and I would strongly recommend you to read. And this is one of the pages in the magazine. As you can see here, let's build a strategy, workforce learning that works outside the workplace. Develop your teams anywhere, anytime. That's basically the essence and the gist of micro credential, which basically we are looking at how we can make any training program, any L&D program to be more flexible, and how do we empower learners, people, to take control of their own learning. We give them enough autonomy to create their own learning pathway, give them the total freedom, while at the same time they align their learning program with the organizational competency framework. So the a survey done by L&D Global Sentiment Survey asking these questions. How will your L&D work change in 2021 as a result of artificial intelligence, automation, and robotics, as well as the ongoing COVID-19 crisis? And the overwhelming response is upskilling and reskilling, which basically the theme of what we are discussing the whole session today. And LinkedIn Learning's 2021 Workplace Learning Report cited upskilling and reskilling as a top priority for learning and development professionals this year. So the question is, how can the organization better support upskilling and reskilling efforts? And I take these points, there are four main points here from the article by Dr. Stella Lee, again in the Training Industry Magazine, page 11. The 4 points here. Number one, provide a comprehensive and individualized training plan. Number two, to provide just-in-time performance support resources. Number three, provide opportunity and platform for knowledge sharing. Number four, to provide agility and adaptability of L&D program to the changing environment. And my focus here, in relation to micro credential, is actually to address number one and number two here. First, to provide a comprehensive and individualized training program. Not only comprehensive, but also flexible. So as usual, we can start with the skill gap analysis. We should have the comprehensive analytics, so-called people analytics, learning analytics, and we should design the program to be employee-centered, context-specific, based on the demand, need-driven, and we can use the concept of LOD, learning on demand, just in time, just enough, personalized and adaptive, competency-based and transferable skill. And number two, provide just-in-time performance support resources. Just-in-time performance support means that we are focusing on the learner's needs as they arise and provide resources accordingly, as opposed to offering pre-scheduled topical training programs. That's basically some of the features of micro-credential online program. So let's look at some what if scenario. What if can make learning be more flexible in terms of time, place, and accessibility? Can we rethink the way we recognize learning in the digital era, in the new normal? Can we open more options for learning pathway to professional and formal qualification? And can learning be made more inclusive in terms of physical ability, socio economic, and also gender? And this is very much in line with the Sustainable Development Goal of UNESCO, SDG number 4, when it comes to providing quality education, quality, inclusive, uh, and equitable education. Then what if if we can move from the time-based seat time, looking at seat time, how much time one spend on doing the L&D program, but it doesn't translate into actual productivity. So if we can move from time-based to competency-based education, looking at the actual uh, skill and competencies acquired after completing the program. And what if you can give more empowerment for the learners to assemble their own personal learning ecologies to support their individual learning pathway, but still aligned um, to the vision and mission and also the competency framework that is set out by the organization. So this where the concept of micro-credential, which is getting more and more traction now. So let's look at some of the features of micro-credential. But in a nutshell, micro-credentials are basically a representation of a person's or individual's participation, progression, completion, or demonstration of a given competency. And it can be based on, we can think of micro-credential as a micro-certification in a specific area of study, and it can be designed as a knowledge-based or a skill-based or a combination of both. And this is how micro-credential is defined by Malaysian Qualification Agency. It is a form of digital certification, but there's some form of assessment, assess knowledge, skills, and competencies, which implies some form of assessment to ensure that the competencies have been demonstrated sufficiently and satisfactorily in a specific area of field from accredited program or a standalone program, or it can be also a professional, technical, academic, and personal, which is more for the corporate uh, area. And so these are some of the features of micro-credential. Of course, micro-credential online program is meant to be and designed to be more flexible based on the concept of learning on demand, just in time when you need it, just enough and just for me, or making it very personalized, where the student or the learner can design their own path, their own learning path based on the current existing requirement for upskilling and reskilling. And it is a competency based, which means that not just completing the program and get the certificate of completion, but they must really demonstrate that they have mastered a particular skill or can demonstrate their particular concept and translate that into a real skill in the workplace and also manifested in the form of productivity. And the content of the program or the course can be designed, can be delivered in the small bite size or small chunk or small bite size using a micro learning concept to address the issue of short attention span. And at the end, upon completion and demonstration of the competency, the learner would get some form of recognition in the form of digital badge or digital credential as an evidence of they have really mastered that particular skill. And they can accumulate the digital badge and they can stack them up or bundle them to get a full qualification. So the whole thing is based on competency-based education, which redefine the function of credit from a measure of time or seat time, so to speak, towards a measure of skill mastery. So uh, you can see the ecosystem or how the system work. So the members of the organization will follow the program, the L&D program based on the micro credential. They will participate, but it's going to be flexible, according to their pace, their time. But they will go through the module. They will go through the learning activities and the assessment, and then they have to show demonstrate the mastery before and to reach a certain level of standard before they can be awarded the digital badge. So the digital badge would contain all the information or the metadata the skill, the issuer, and all the necessary information. Everything can be embedded in the digital badge. And for the purpose of authentication, uh, we can use a digital badge with a blockchain technology. And this is an example of the dashboard or the learner's dashboard or the e-portfolio, where we have all the information about the learner, their learning pathway, their progress, and also the digital badges that they have collected during the program. And this is just an example of the micro credential module, which normally is designed as a bite-sized content, standalone, substantive, that has high value, very focused, very practical, and usually in a short duration. And the module can be designed as a whole complete program, as you can see here. Just for example, to illustrate the concept, we have 6 module here, but if the learner complete all the 6 module, they will get six digital badges and they will get a complete certificate. And all these are aligned to the competency framework as determined by the organization. And these are examples from the commercial platform. As you can see here, the module or the course is designed as a short module, can be completed within 1 hour. And of course, the micro credential can be designed to them so that it can the module can be designed to focus on hard skill, or it can be also on the soft skill. And finally, how micro-credential can benefit individuals and organizations. These are some of the points. Understand where skill gap exists and how to solve them. Provide rapid insight into ongoing professional development. Build a culture of continuous learning. Become inspired to seek new skill. Boost engagement and productivity. And they can take the accreditation anywhere. So the take-home message. First one, cultivate an agile micro-credential program would enable organizations to cultivate an agile workforce equipped to adapt in the fast-changing VUCA world. It will provide a clear competency framework that is aligned to the organization vision and mission, continuous upskilling and reskilling to leverage the full potential of the talent, empowers individual to be self-directed learner through flexible micro-credential program, and to promote self-driven, lifelong and life-wide learning culture in the organization.